I'm Anil Kumar sharing with you some questions from the IB test paper on inverse function. Here is a function which we need to really investigate. Find the inverse of f of x equals to minus x squared plus 1 satisfying f inverse of minus 3 equals to 2. So that is the question for you. You can pause the video, answer the question, and then look into my suggestion. Now, as you know, inverse of a parabola, which in this case is minus x squared plus 1, will not be a function. But what we are given here is a condition which says satisfying the condition that f inverse of minus 3 is equals to 2. Now that really means that the function has been restricted. So this particular condition implies restriction on function f of x. Only then inverse will be a function, and at minus 3 we are looking for a value of 2. Now if inverse of the function has a value of 2 at minus 3, then what is f of 2 equals to? F of 2 should be minus 3, correct? So that is how it is. Let us kind of sketch it and understand the situation, and then we'll find the inverse, okay? So the situation is kind of like this. Minus x squared moved 1 unit up. So parabola will be kind of like this, right? So kind of like this, where this point is the maximum, and that is 1. Now if I have to sketch the inverse of this function, it will be reflected on the line y equals to x, right? So this point, which is the vertex, will now appear, instead of at 0 and 1, will appear at 1 and 0, right? So it is going to appear at this point, 1 and 0. And therefore, we are looking for two types of functions here. One where f inverse will be, so this point comes here, right, reflected on this. At 2, we are looking for a value of minus 3. So at 2, we are looking for a value of minus 3. That means what? That means the reflection which we are looking for is on the upper side, kind of like that. Do you understand? So we are looking for the graph of inverse to be going like that. So that is, let us say, point of intersection, kind of like this. That is what is our f inverse function. Normally it will be this half also. Since we are given the condition, we have to consider only one part of the inverse. And now let's write down and find the inverse. So we are given f of x equals to minus x squared plus 1. We should write this as y equals to minus x squared plus 1. To find the inverse, we'll interchange x and y. So we get x equals to minus y squared plus 1. And now let us isolate y. Now to isolate y, I will take 1 to that side. So we get x minus 1 equals to minus y squared. And then we'll do negative. So that means negative of x minus 1 equals to y squared. And then we'll do square root of this function. And square root of this function will be kind of like this. Now it is a question. Should we consider, now not only whenever you do square root, we are considering both plus and minus. Now the question is, which sign should we consider? You get the point, right? Since f inverse of minus 3, that means at minus 3, I am expecting a positive 2 value. Do you understand? Since this condition is given to us, we are expecting a positive value, right? Therefore, we'll consider the positive part only, not the negative. So we'll consider only the positive part. Well, there's no need to write like that, positive, but that is understood. Since f inverse of minus 3 is equals to 2, we consider only the positive part. So we write here f inverse of the function. Now inverse is a function, so we are writing f inverse of a function is indeed equals to square root of minus x minus 1. That is how you have to find it. Now if you see that, it really represents the function. Minus means the square root function has been reflected towards the left side, and minus means move 1 unit to the right. Do you see that? So that is how this function is. As an extension, you can write domain and range of the inverse. So as far as the inverse is concerned, here in this case, the domain for the inverse will be x belongs to real numbers where x is less than equals to 1. And the range for the inverse is y belongs to real numbers where y is greater than equal to 0. Right? So for the domain, we restricted the functions domain, right? Let me write functions domain also here. Okay. Okay, let me write here itself. For f of x, the domain was, which we considered, we restricted that domain, correct? So x belongs to real numbers, and we only considered the right half of the function. We considered x greater than equal to 0, right? And that is the reason why this domain got changed to that range. Do you see that? And range of the function was considered to be less than. So y belongs to real numbers and range was less than or equal to 1, right? So that becomes the domain of the function. So whenever you find inverse, their domain and range also swap. So I hope with this example you get the concept that it is not necessary for us to write that the domain of the given function is restricted when we are given the inverse that shows the restriction in itself. So that is what we should appreciate from this video. I hope you understand. Thank you and all the best.